Can you break down the difference between training and inference, and also why this distinction is so important for companies that are adopting AI?
Training is the heavy lifting stage. It's teaching an AI model how to think. It requires massive parallel GPU power, terabytes of data, long runtimes. So inference is more what happens after training. It's the real-time execution of that knowledge, generating text, analyzing video. We see this with ChatGPT and Gen AI. You always love to tell ChatGPT and challenge it to go generate some image of something that you like and see what it comes out with. Or just making predictions instantaneously. Why it matters is cost and performance. And training can cost millions per model to run, so optimizing the infrastructure is critical. And then inference, on the other hand, must run typically at ultra low latency and have efficiency at scale. But Buzz, it designs sovereign cloud to serve both. So high density with liquid cooled GPU clusters for training and elastic GPU as a service environments for inference. And this is our cloud platform that can serve up different tools, different software and applications to allow a user to do all of the above.
Hi and welcome to the Financial Fox. Today we are going to be talking about AI infrastructure. I know the Financial Fox is all about crypto and Bitcoin, but think about this. Bitcoin is the currency of the future, so is the currency of AI. And Bitcoin miners, they have been the main companies, the main player in the Bitcoin space since the beginning. Many of them, they pivot to AI to run and operate and own AI data center. The Hive Digital Technologies, partner of the Financial Fox, is one of those Bitcoin miners that put AI strategy at the core of their business. They were actually the first one to pivot to AI. So today I'm gonna have on the show Craig Tavares, who is the CEO and President of Buzz HPC. That is Hive subsidiary specifically focused on AI. So what I'm going to be discussing with Craig, we are going to be talking about the biggest shift happening in tech right now. So the explosion of AI demand and the infrastructure that is needed to power it. We are basically in an AI supercycle. That's what many are referring to. But what that really looks like, how much demand we are seeing, who is buying the compute, how workloads are changing, and why the difference between training and inference matters so much for companies adopting AI. I'll cover all of this in the interview, but also talking about Buzz's role in this evolving market, how they compete with the hyperscalers, and that's very important, what is their client base, and how infrastructure is evolving, and also why Canada is becoming such an important hub for sovereign AI. This is a very important conversation, not only for people interested in AI, but also for people in the Bitcoin space, because Bitcoin miners are becoming key players in the future infrastructure, in the future of AI development, and they are converting the tier 1 Bitcoin mining data center into tier 3 data center. So they are really important for all this infrastructure to be developed. There is also a very interesting interview that I've done on the topic with the CEO of Hive Digital Technologies in Killick, that you can go back and watch it, because basically we are discussing exactly that. Now, before we get into the interview, I just have got a couple of things that I want to mention. So, first of all, I'm going to ask you a favor. If you are watching this interview on YouTube or X or on LinkedIn, please take a moment to support us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos, follow us on social media. If you haven't done yet, it's so important to get your support to grow the channel so we can educate more people about Bitcoin and the whole industry. Finally, remember that all the content on the show is for informational purposes only and not intended as financial advice. So any opinions expressed by me or my guests are ours alone, and you should not act solely on the back of them. As always, do your own research, level up your skills, and be accountable for your own decisions. With that being said, let's get to the interview. Hi Craig, how are you doing?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm well. Wow, it's really great to have you on the show. I know you're super busy. We just got Aiden on the show last week talking about the conversion between tier 1 data center to tier 3 data center. Any of the viewers that haven't watched that video, please go back to our channel and just make sure that you watch that. Today we are going to focus on the AI side of the business that you are running through Buzz HPC. You just announced purchasing more land, fast-tracking the conversion to tier 3 data center, customer base is increasing, you've got some interesting target for next year. So in one of the latest press releases, you mentioned about AI Supercycle. So talk me through that, and also tell me what you are seeing in terms of real demand for AI compute.
For sure. So yeah, we're deep in that AI supercycle, which means it's the largest infrastructure build out since the advent of the internet. Across North America, we see GPU demand far exceeding availability or supply. And in Canada, it's feeling the same pressure acutely as well. So Canadian universities, enterprises, government agencies, they're all seeing this increasingly high access to high performance compute, which is what Buzz provides to the market, in order to train or fine-tune AI models locally, and locally being sovereign or domestic use versus exporting the workloads to the US. And then globally, we see the same thing. So, I mean, if you look at capacity strains across the world, data center construction is happening in all major markets right now. Trillions of dollars, billions of dollars are going into it. And it is really to minimize or mitigate the long lead items, which is the data center infrastructure itself and everything that goes into the data center, to be able to stand up these supercompute clusters for AI. So at Buzz, we see utilization rates well above 90% across all our clusters. And we see this growth because of many different applications, but inside AI research leadership such as Vector, Mila, and then, that translating into real world commercial demand for domestic computer capacity.
Wow, very interesting. Now, I'm going to ask you more like an educational question, but I think it's quite important for our audience and also for the people who are kind of new to AI. Can you break down the difference between training and inference, and also why this distinction is so important for companies that are adopting AI?
Absolutely. So training is the heavy lifting stage. It's teaching an AI model how to think. It requires massive parallel GPU power, terabytes of data, long runtimes. So inference is more what happens after training. It's the real-time execution of that knowledge, generating text, analyzing video. We see this with ChatGPT and Gen AI. You always love to tell ChatGPT and challenge it to go generate some image of something that you like and see what it comes out with. Or just making predictions instantaneously. So why it matters is cost and performance. And training can cost millions per model to run, so optimizing the infrastructure is critical. And then inference, on the other hand, must run typically at ultra low latency and have efficiency at scale. But Buzz, it designs sovereign cloud to serve both. So high density with liquid pooled GPU clusters for training and elastic GPU as a service environments for inference. And this is our cloud platform that can serve up different tools, different software and applications to allow a user to do all of the above. And we do it all within Canadian borders, within our own vertically integrated data centers.
Well, it seems to me that inference is really important because it's not just about the training, but it's also about developing these AI models. And I think we are now at the kind of like this phase 2 of development of all these AI industries. So it's definitely something that is important. Thank you for explaining. Now, you mentioned about Buzz positioning itself kind of like in a way that is faster and more cost-efficient alternative to perhaps some of the hyperscalers. So help me to understand how you compare on speed, cost, flexibility, and actually which is quite important. What's driving customers to choose you instead of somebody else?
For sure. So speed and proximity are our biggest differentiators, where our data centers or clouds are located. And because we operate at a Tier 3 plus standard, that is the standard or blueprint that we use to build out the data center, the redundancy and resiliency of the data center, and the quality of the data center. And because it's directly on Canadians' green energy grid is really what sets us apart. We're also partnered with Bell and part of the Bell AI fabric. So our network quality is probably well above standard. We actually won an award recently from SemiAnalysis. So we had the highest network throughput and performance above pretty much every cloud they tested globally. So that was very happy to win that award. Very proud of that award, where they pressure tested our environment and compared us to all the other neoclouds in the market. From a cost perspective, we're typically, I want to say, quarter the cost of a hyperscaler, but we're twice the performance. And the reason why we're twice the performance is because we actually tune our clusters and our hardware based on the type of model that you would use. So it's a lot of attention to detail, a lot of care to drive the most efficiency out of the hardware that we operate. And, without any egress fees from an internet bandwidth perspective or long-term lock-in contracts, we're really delivering that value to the customers, and they want to see data sovereignty. So we're mitigating issues around data sovereignty as well. Our clients value being able to deploy thousands of GPUs within days with direct engineering access and transparent pricing, or really landing with the customer base that we have. And that level of agility simply doesn't exist in the hyperscale model.
So tell me a bit more about the clients that you are working with. So what will be the typical, for example, AI workload or deployment that you support them?
For sure. So our clients range from AI research institutes, generative AI startups, enterprises, even government, right? So we're all partnering and looking at real-time inference pipelines. A lot of the work that the research institutes are doing, they're building custom models or tuning models. So again, it's really across the entire spectrum from an application spec. And the way you look at it too is, again, what you asked earlier around training. Everyone starts on the training side, or you might take an open source model if you're not trying to develop your own model, and you might tune that model, and then on the right you have your inference workloads. So again, everyone is using the platform for a different reason and a different stage or journey in terms of building out an AI application.
Interesting. I have one question because about the industry. I mean, the GPU kind of like cloud market is getting more crowded, right? So what do you see as a strong competitive advantage?
Yeah, great question. So I believe our sovereign positioning is important. So again, that goes back to speak to data residency, data gravity, securing and ensuring that we do offer a data sovereign solution to our customers. Green energy footprint, again, that's another one that we come back to all the time because it is important when you look at the overall power profile, efficiency, carbon footprint that we have. And the fact that we build liquid-cooled density, really sets us apart. So there are a lot of people in the market that are still trying to convert older data centers or have pretty much given up converting older data centers and either trying to build new data centers with this capability. But, we do it natively across all our data centers, and liquid cooling is required for the latest generation GPUs. We started with air cooling, using air through a traditional data center design. But because the data center racks and the GPU density has become so great, moving from 20 kilowatt racks to 150 kilowatts, you can't use air to cool those environments anymore, so you have to use liquid. So we really combine the flexibility of a modern GPU cloud with the infrastructure discipline of a Tier 3 plus liquid-cooled data center operator. And because Buzz is vertically integrated, right from the rack design to the workload and orchestration, it means that we control cost, efficiency, and performance end to end. And because we're Canadian owned and operated, again, we get to do that full data residency and compliance as the differentiator as part of our global regulation.
Right. And because you are upgrading your facility to Tier 3 standard, at the same time you are expanding co-location alongside the GPU cloud. So how these infrastructure upgrades support your strategy basically, and what do they unlock for customers?
So upgrading to Tier 3 Plus allows you to drive mission critical uptime and multipath redundancies, which are prerequisites for enterprise and government AI workloads. It is ensuring the highest uptime and performance available, right from the data center infrastructure perspective. And that's important because if you're spending millions of dollars in your AI project, you want to make sure that you get to use that platform, and the platform becomes or stays available to you. AI is a race. Building a model is a race. Having the highest performing model and having the highest amount of uptime means that you get to have that advantage in the race. So our new facilities across Canada, we're deploying a new facility with Bell in Winnipeg. We're developing another facility in Toronto, and we're also redeveloping our other facility in New Brunswick, and not to mention Sweden and Boden. So there's 4 data center projects that we have underway right now. They'll all feature high-density liquid-cooled racks up to 200 kilowatts and above. And with integrated heat recovery systems, along with the Bell direct network access, it really, again, makes these data centers unique in the market. These upgrades let customers co-locate specialized hardware or extend private clusters into our sovereign cloud. And then that unlocks that hybrid AI architecture with guaranteed performance compliance. And I want to emphasize that it's a contract and agreement that we provide to customers to say, hey, Mr. Customer, if you do business with us, I will guarantee that customer satisfaction or that customer performance with you.
Interesting. Let's focus a little bit more about the sovereign AI and, for example, your partnership with Bell. What are the key data residency or regulatory drivers you are seeing, and how these influence your plan for Canada, but also for Europe as well?
So the key driver is control over data infrastructure. The federal and provincial agencies, they require sensitive AI, or they're going to run sensitive AI workloads because of the data to remain, and they need to remain on sort of Canadian soil because of that. So if you look at it again, you just follow the data more than anything else, and understanding again where that data lives when it's being stored, or understanding where the data goes when it's being transferred, or as we call it, data in transit, is super critical. And it's really around the organizations managing and securing that data for you too. So that is what Buzz does, right? Buzz, again, provides that guarantee on data sovereignty, where, again, we know where the data is being stored, and we know where the data moves in terms of the network providers and the network path from data center to data center within the data center itself. And Bell's AI Fabric gives Buzz that national backbone to deliver, even with edge locations, that sovereignty by design. So we're seeing the same trend emerging in Europe, where GDPR and local data sovereignty laws are tightening. And Buzz's next phase includes extending our sovereignty model into the Nordics and EU market, leveraging hydro nuclear powered regions that align with our sustainability echoes.
And it's easy to bring this sovereign AI infrastructure at scale?
So a truly sovereign AI stack, really depends on, again, how much of the stack you control. So yes, we will 100% be able to deliver at scale, and we'll continue to deliver at scale because we know how to.
Fantastic. So we talk about the partnership with Bell. You are also partnering with NVIDIA. Tell us more about the partnership that you have and why they are so important.
So each partner plays a strategic role, and Bell provides a national fiber network and edge connectivity through that fabric that makes our sovereign cloud truly coast to coast. NVIDIA is a cornerstone of our compute stack. So we deploy Hopper, Ampere, and very soon Blackwell GPUs across our entire fleet. So we give customers flexibility from the type of compute they need based on the application or economics they want to drive within their project. And VAST data, they pretty much power our exabyte scale storage layer, enabling rapid checkpointing and retrieval for massive models to run. So these are cutting edge technologies, best of breed in the ecosystem. And then together, this ecosystem delivers a vertically integrated AI infrastructure built in Canada for Canada.
Tell me more about the commercial model. How do you make money?
So our model combines GPU as a service for training, fine-tuning with usage-based inference and real-time workloads. So, when a customer needs to use compute power from you, they're essentially renting that compute power by the hour, by the day, by the month, or even by the year. And we also have a co-location model where if customers want to bring their own compute, they could just rent the rack space from me and power to stand up their own compute. So we actually cater to a very large audience because of that. Either I could run the compute for you, or you could bring your compute and I'll provide the infrastructure to run that compute. And customers can provision compute, again, across those different types of contracts that I described earlier. As inference adoption accelerates, think generative AI co-pilots, vision systems, edge inference. Like we're moving toward elastic per token or per call pricing at the same time. So this evolution aligns with us And it aligns with our consumption pattern of AI applications rather than having static infrastructure. And again, that's super important.
I've got one last question. Let's look ahead to 2026. What are the key milestones that you have in your roadmap, and what can you share today around revenue utilization and perhaps maybe commercial traction that show Buzz is scaling?
Absolutely. In 2026, Buzz will operate a number of Tier 3 sovereign AI data centers across Canada and Sweden. As I described earlier, we're really building out the Winnipeg facility with Bell. We have the Toronto facility that we recently acquired and then redeveloping into a Tier 3 facility as well. And in New Brunswick, that is one of our existing Bitcoin mining facilities that were redeveloped into data center. The key there is that we have all this power capacity being consumed already in our existing sites. So when we have a Bitcoin mining site, what we've done is installed a massive substation already. That sometimes can save a year of permitting and maybe another year of construction. So almost 2 years to get to market with that kind of power. And, it's probably easy to find power around the grid if you're talking about less than 1 megawatt. But when you get over 10 megawatts, you get over 20 and even up to hundreds of megawatts, it's not easy to find power that may not be consumed or may not be used for some kind of industry or even data centers itself. So having free power available like that and ready to energize, ready to plug into data center is extremely important based on the time that you need to get to market. So what I could do with those kind of facilities is really get shovels in the ground as fast as possible to start building my data center. And then, while I build the data center, I can now swing the power, use that power that's already available at that property into the data center to turn the data center on as fast as humanly possible. The things inside the data center that take time as well, because it's not, you don't quickly build data centers either. They're usually a 12-month long process. But what we've done is we've started sourcing long lead items. The long lead items in a data center, the things that take the longest to acquire and to purchase and then construct are things like chillers, things like UPSs. So the UPS is your batteries or your backup power, and then generators. Generators is more long-term backup power. So if you were to lose your grid connection, because you maintain a certain uptime for your data center, you need to have a secondary power source. And in most data centers, that's what the generator is. The UPS is a way to transfer the power from your primary power to your secondary power. So going from your grid connection to your generator, and really ensuring that you have the highest quality power going to the data center as well too. So the UPS does serve as that in between when you're transferring from one power connection to another. Growth, we are targeting over 10,000 GPUs next year to be installed, and we're also targeting close to $200 million in annual recurring revenue. So that will be driven by some wholesale contracts and a number of our other retail contracts that we currently organically grow. And our near-term milestone is really again leveraging the Bell partnership. So through Bell AI Fabric, we're going to be penetrating enterprise customers and government contracts as well at the same time. But the goal is clear, Steffi. We want to make Canada one of the most capable sovereign AI nations in the world, and all powered by Buzz. But while we have a local touch, we'll keep driving our global reach and keep driving demand in the global market as well, just with, again, a very thoughtful way as we scale domestically.
And hopefully we will see also some interesting milestone as well in Europe as well. I think it looks like you're really busy, and I know there is Canada, there is Europe. Hive and Basil's working on a global scale. So I'm really excited. It sounds that you have got a lot on the table. Craig, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I look forward to have you back with more news.
Thank you so much. Bye.